Welcome to our Tips and Tricks series for SOLIDWORKS. Although we're using SOLIDWORKS 2024, the majority of these tips apply to all previous versions, so are relevant to all users. We'll point out when a tip only appears in 2024. In this video, we're focusing in on sketch tips, so keep watching for 30 sketch tips every SOLIDWORKS user should know. To give you some context, we'll look at recreating the geometry for this support of the motor frame on the Bowhead Adventure e-bike. So to get started, we'll need a new part, so let's use Ctrl-N to open up the new document dialog and then select Part. My part template is set to not show the planes, but a nice quick way to show them is by using the Q key, making all of the planes in the document visible. I'll choose the front plane and use the shortcut bar to start a new sketch on that plane. Clicking in the graphics area will hide the planes. So using the Q key just gives a temporary view of the planes within the document. Throughout the video, I'll be using the S key keyboard shortcut to access sketch commands. We'll have another video on productivity tips soon where I'll talk about this and other time-saving shortcuts. But for now, just know that when I hit the S key, this box appears on screen. Let's start by having a look at the default behaviour for the line tool, something that everybody uses on a daily basis. If I left click to position the first point of my line and then left click to position the end point of my line, you'll see that the line tool is still active and allows us to create a multi-line. But what if I don't want a multi-line and I only want a single line? I can speed the workflow up a little bit by using a different technique to create the line. Just press with the left mouse button and drag to where you want your endpoint and release the left mouse button. This creates a single line. You'll see that the line is blue at the moment, indicating it's not fully defined. If I want to fully define it, I need to add a vertical relationship, as one wasn't created automatically. I can just click on the line and the graphics area shortcut bar appears. It's worth pointing out that the most relevant sketch relation for your selection is displayed in a dotted box. You'll also see that this is highlighted in bold within the property manager on the left hand side. I'll just select that line again and choose vertical from the shortcut bar. I'd also like that line to be construction, so again, selecting the line, I can choose construction geometry from the shortcut bar. The next thing I want to do is add a midpoint line, so I'll choose it from the sketch shortcut bar and the line drop down, and now I'm in the midpoint line command. I want this to be a construction midpoint line, but there wasn't an option for that on the drop down, so I'd need to go over to the property manager on the left hand side and select it from there. But there is a way to streamline this. By pressing the tab key, we activate the property manager. And now what we'll see is that all of the options we have in the property manager now have a letter underlined. So if we want to toggle on construction line, we would just click C. Now that's active, I'll press and hold with the left mouse button and then release it to get a single midpoint line. Using the S key shortcut, I want to access circle now. So we know that if we use the arrows next to the sketch entity, we can select the type from the drop down menu. So under circle, I can choose center point or perimeter circle. Let's select perimeter circle. But then I changed my mind. Instead of closing down the circle tool and starting it up again with the correct choice, I can select a different type from the property manager using the A key. This switches the entity type on the fly. I want to place this circle into my sketch. So I'll hover over the endpoint of this line and you'll see that I have a yellow sketch relation symbol. This means that a sketch relation will be created as soon as I place that circle. If I reposition my cursor away from that endpoint, but in line with it, you can see a white sketch relation symbol. This is for guidance and a sketch relation is not created. So just be aware that the different colour indicates whether a sketch relation is created automatically or not. So here I would like the circle concentric with the endpoint of the line, so I'll place that down and draw my circle out. Now I'm using shaded sketch contours, which is an option available from the sketch toolbar. If I turn that off, you'll see the shading is removed, and if I turn it back on, you can see the shading returns. A nice feature of shaded sketch contours is we don't need to select a sketch entity to copy or move it, we can just pick within the shaded contour. So let's have a look at that in action. Let's say I want to create a copy of this circle. I can hold down the Control key, left mouse button within the shaded sketch contour and move to where I want the copy to go, and then release the left mouse button and the Control key, and I have my copy. There is another way that you can use the Control key though, and that's for moving entities. If I hold down Control, left mouse button within the shaded contour and move to where I want the circle to go, and then release the Control key first, I end up moving the entity, not copying. So let's do that again, but without shaded sketch contours. This time we need to select the entity itself and drag it to where we want it. Releasing the left mouse button first, I get a copy, or releasing the Control key first, I can move the entity. I'd like to add an equals relationship between these two circles, and I can do that a number of different ways. I could hold the Control key and pick the two circles, but you can also use the box select method within SOLIDWORKS. There are two styles of box select, a left to right, which is coloured blue and has a solid outline, or right to left, which is green with a dotted outline. The behaviour is different depending on which one you use. So if I want to select the two circles using a left to right box select, I need to be around the entirety of the selection, as this method selects everything within the box. So if I haven't fully covered the circles on the right hand side, it's not going to be selected. But it will select the construction line and the circle. So my box needs to be like this in order to select everything. But using this method selects the construction line, and if I wanted to apply my equals relationship, it would apply to all three selected entities. A better method would be to use the right to left box select, as this will select anything the box crosses. So I only need to cross a very small amount of these circles for them to be selected. You'll see as soon as I select entities, the shortcut bar appears, allowing me to apply a number of different things. I'd like to perform two operations on these circles, add an equals relationship and turn them into construction geometry. What can happen sometimes is that if you move your cursor away, the shortcut bar disappears. So you might think you need to reselect the entities to get the shortcut bar to reappear. No need, just press Ctrl and the shortcut bar reappears, and then I can turn these into construction geometry. I'll continue on here and add some more sketch geometry to the sketch. Using the S key, I will start the line tool. I do want a multi-line this time, so I'll use the click method. I'll place my first endpoint vertically aligned with the origin, noting the white sketch relation. Moving out to the left, I can see the line is horizontal, and I'll position my endpoint here. What I want now is an arc. Now you've probably seen this before, but we can transition from a line to an arc two different ways. We can either press A on the keyboard, or alternatively, I can move back into the endpoint of the line and back out again, giving me a tangent arc like this. So I'm going to place the endpoint of the arc here, and I want another arc which goes all the way around here. And then I want another arc, then I'll finish off with a horizontal line. If you want to end the tool quickly, just double click. Then I'll finish off by adding a sketch relationship between the two center points of the circle. Now there is a new tool available in 2024 called Preview Sketch Dimension. So if I select an entity, nothing happens at the moment as I don't have the option turned on. I'll choose Preview Sketch Dimension from the shortcut bar, and now you'll see I get a grey preview of that dimension. If I double click on it and enter a value, it's converted to a real dimension and drives the entity we selected originally. Let's click this horizontal line and then select the preview dimension to enter a value. You can also use Ctrl and select two entities, and it will give you a preview dimension between them. I want this to be 6mm. We've got a few more to do, Again, using the preview dimension, we'll add a 56mm dimension to this arc. We'll just drag the sketch point to reposition the underdefined end of this line, and I'll add an equals relationship between these two arcs. And again, just drag the sketch to reposition it. I want another dimension between the horizontal lines of 7mm, but I'll switch back to using the normal dimension tool for this. I'll add a relation between the endpoint and the origin to stop any movement, and we'll finish off with a point-to-point dimension of 56mm. So when we select a point-to-point dimension, the alignment of that dimension defaults to a point-to-point alignment. But if I move my cursor out to the left, I get a vertical alignment, or if I move the cursor up to the top, I have the alignment horizontally. But let's say we want the point-to-point alignment, but we don't want to place the dimension in the middle of the part. We want it out over here. It can be a little bit tricky in certain situations to ensure that you are getting the alignment of the dimension that you want. So if you look at the cursor at the end of the mouse, you'll see we've got a lock symbol and the right mouse button is highlighted in blue. If I press the right mouse button, you'll see that the lock symbol changes to unlock, and now the dimension alignment is locked. So by clicking the right mouse button, I have locked the alignment as point to point. This enables me to place the dimension over here. If I want to unlock that alignment, just right click and I can now change the alignment again. Let's move it over to the right and we'll set this to 56mm. Finally, I just want to add another sketch relation between these 2 points and make them vertical, and I'll just merge the construction line up to this point and we've finished our sketch off. Next up, I want to mirror the sketch geometry over to the other side. If I use my S key shortcut bar, I don't have mirror on here, but quickly using the search at the bottom, I can search for mirror and start it from here. I'll just window around the entities I want to mirror, then take a look at the mouse cursor. You'll see again we've got a mouse symbol here with the right mouse button showing an enter symbol. What that means is that if we right click, it's going to move us in the property manager from entities to mirror to the mirror about box without actually selecting it. So if we right click, you can see we can switch over and then I can just select the mirror line. Again, notice that the right mouse button now shows a green tick, indicating that if we right click, we accept the settings within the property manager and apply them and finish the mirror command. Now sometimes, especially when you're using mirror, the sketch relations can be a little bit much on screen. So what you can do is use your visibility toolbar and hide the sketch relations. If you need to do this often, you could map a keyboard shortcut to do this. There isn't one defined by default. Let's extrude this sketch to get some solid geometry, and then I can start a new sketch. So using the D key on the keyboard, I can bring the exit sketch tool to the end of my mouse, and then I'm going to press the S key to select the extrude tool. And here mine's set to mid-plane, but you can change the end condition on the right click if you want to. But I do want a mid-plane extrusion, and I'd like that to be 20mm. Let's start a new sketch on this face using the shortcut bar, and then make ourselves normal to by using Ctrl+8. We'll just add on a couple of circles to create some holes. Now what we could do is show the original sketch, and we could convert the circles from that sketch if we wanted to. I'm just going to create new circles because what I'd like to show you is how we can position them relative to a center point fairly easily. And we can do that by doing something called waking up the center point. So if I hover over an arc or a circular edge, I can wake up or activate the center point and place a circle down coincident with the center point of that circle. Now that I've added those two circles, I'm going to use my crossing windows select to select them both and then set them to equal and add a dimension which will be 38.25mm. Next I'm going to pre-select a face and choose the offset tool from the shortcut bar. That's currently set to 10mm. If I look at the little arrow on screen, it indicates in which direction the offset is. So if I pick inside, I get my offset internally, and if I pick outside, I'll get an offset externally. I want mine internally, so I'll pick inside. So within the offset tool, there's some quite nice functionality you can use. So here, I'm just going to place a vertical line, and then I'm going to choose offset. And we'll set the value to 22.5mm. Then I'll choose a line to offset. You'll see it offsets at 22.5. If I press my tab key, it activates the property manager, and I can look and see underscores under certain letters again. If I press these keys on the keyboard, it will check or uncheck the box. So pressing B activates a bidirectional offset. You'll see also that under construction geometry, that base geometry is checked. What that indicates is that if I accept the command, the selected line for offsetting will be turned into construction geometry. One of the other things we can do is, obviously we can change these offset dimensions independently, but if we type equals and select the other dimension, we can link the two dimensions together. So now if I change this one to 30, the other linked dimension updates to suit. Let's do a final couple of offsets. Let's double check our options first and change the value to 10mm. Using tab to activate the property manager, we'll press B to toggle off bidirectional, and we'll turn off base geometry manually, as this doesn't have a shortcut key. Then I'll select the circle I want to offset, click outside. Pressing enter will repeat the last command, so I can select another circle to offset and click outside again. Using D, I can exit the sketch quickly. I'll pre-select the sketch, then if I use my shortcut bar, I can access extruded cut, and then choose the regions of this multi-contour sketch that I want to cut. Then using right click, I can make sure my end condition is set correctly and then choose OK. We've now got the makings of our replacement part and a great starting point for our features, tips and tricks video, which will appear soon. If you've enjoyed watching this video, learned something or remembered something you'd forgotten, like and subscribe for similar content. Thank you from all of us at SolidX for watching, and see you next time.